Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining this technical training, call it commissioning training for the temperature screening access control devices. My name is Rual. I'm the technical trainer for Hikvision, South Africa, and we will go through the this training here. So this training will include configuration settings for the MinMoe as well as for the metal door detector. All right, let's quickly have a look. Firstly, we're going to start with the MinMoe detector, the face terminal. We're going to work through the introduction part and preparation, stuff that you need to take consideration of, installation, configuration, operation, and then we're going to look at a few case study issues that some people have had before, and just a simple fix for those. All right, so the DSK1T671TM-3XF is our temperature screening face recognition terminal. All right, let's quickly have a look at the introduction. All right, so this is a couple of uses for the terminal. Like you can see here, it's a wall-mounted terminal. We're going to do temperature screening with facial recognition at a certain door. Then we can have an optional monitor tablet, so it looks very similar to our intercom modules that you use on the inside of the premises to be able to see the results and all those kind of things as it comes through. This is an entrance with temperature screening and facial recognition terminal as well. And you can see what we've done here is in this application, it's not wall mounted like with the first one, but it is on its own pole bracket, and we're going to talk about the pole bracket a little bit later as well. Now, this can all talk back to a surveillance center at the back end, communicate back to your 4200 or HIG Central, as you can see over here. All right, so that's basically a couple of topologies that you can put together and use. All right, now for the system structure, it is a couple of things that's quite important just to take note of. If the temperature is found to be too high, you should remeasure the temperature with a thermometer and those kind of things, especially if it measures wrong or abnormal more than once. Then we would recommend that you use a thermometer to just double check, just to confirm that temperature. That's quite important to just double check that, because we're measuring skin surface temperature, could be affected by a couple of things. We're going to look at those couple of things a little bit later as well. The other thing is temperature information cannot be transferred through the eHome protocol. So eHome will use sometimes to get a device remotely connected to HIG Central or something like that. You will not be able to get the temperature information through. If you want to have temperature information, you're going to have like a static IP address or something like that, and have the device connect via the LAN or a VPN or something like that, where you can actually put in an IP address and connect it. So via the eHome protocol, temperature information will not be sent through. All right, so let's quickly have a look at a couple of specs of the device. So face capacity up to 50,000 faces. Card capacity also 50,000, although we're trying to get away from biometrics and cards and all those kind of things where we touched it and so forth. So it's got the capacity, so maybe later when COVID's over, you can use this part if you want to. And then it's got 100,000 event capacity, which means that it'll record 100,000 events or transactions in its internal memory. All right, so the resolution of the thermal sensor is 120 by 160, which makes it a lot more cheap, a lot more cost effective than other devices. Frame rate 25 frames a second. The temperature range for the skin surface temperature that we're measuring is between 30 and 45, obviously optimized for that there. The accuracy plus or minus 0.5 degrees Celsius, and this is without a black body calibrator. If you're going to use a black body calibrator, it goes down to 0.3 degrees. And then the measuring distance away from the lenses. So here's your lenses, there's your opticals, and your thermal. 0.5 to 1.5 meters away. So it's not a long range, but obviously it's an access control device, so it's to be close to the door. You're going to walk up to the door anyway. Voltage 12 volts at about 2 amps, and then working temperature. Now, the working temperature for the device, let's forget about the temperature screening, 0 to 50 degrees. That's your normal temperature. But if you want to have accurate temperature measurements, this is your temperature range for the device. Must be inside 10 to 35 degrees, nothing out of that, to make it much more accurate. Humidity 10 to 90%. Indoor application, I can't stress this enough. Indoor application, the reason for that is Indoor, you don't have wind, you don't have sun, those kind of things that could change the skin surface's temperature. So we're going to talk a lot about this as well. I'm going to refer back to this indoor and windless environments as well. The other thing is it won't be accurate immediately after the first switch on. It needs about a 90-minute warm-up time, which means the thermal sensors and all those things, the internal temperature of the device, it needs about 90 minutes to reach the nominal temperature, working temperature, and then it's going to be more accurate. It will work before this. So as you switch it on, it'll work, but it won't be as accurate. This is only for the first time that you switch it on. And obviously after maybe a power failure or something like that. But otherwise, the unit's going to stay on and might go into sleep mode where it looks like it's off, but it's not off. It's still running on the inside. So it's only like that first time that you powered it on, or after a power failure or something like that, if the power's been off for quite some time, where the internals of the unit can cool down. All right, and the temperature that we normally recommend to set it, and you're going to see a little bit later how and where we set this, to create an alarm, 36.3 to 37.2 degrees. But it can be adjusted depending on your circumstances, your environment, those kind of things can be adjusted. But this is a good temperature range to work from to detect abnormal temperatures. All right. Oh, by the way, before we carry on, there's a Q&A box in the Zoom. So if you have any questions, please pop them into the Q&A box and you'll be answered as we go through. All right, then we've got the bracket. Now the bracket, this is like a floor standing bracket for the face terminal. So you mount the face terminal there on top. So there's all the materials and the weight and all the dimensions, all those kind of things for this bracket. This is optional, you don't have to go with this. But anyway, it's a nice feature. All right, let's quickly have a look at the preparation for the terminal. What do we need to take into consideration? Things like backlight, direct sunlight, indirect sunlight through a window, even direct sunlight through a window, close to lights and all those kind of things. All these things are heat sources that could affect the temperature measurements from the device. So there's things that you need to consider where it shouldn't be close to any of these things. All right, so indoor and windless. We say windless, even if you have an air conditioner running, make sure it is set to quite a mild setting if you can't switch it off. Make sure it's set to quite a mild setting and not blowing everyone away, because that is going to affect the skin surface's temperature. So make sure that the device is indoors. Although the actual device is IP65, it can go outside, but for temperature accuracy, temperature measurement accuracy, you need to have this indoors where people are not exposed to sunlight and all those kind of things while we're taking the measurements. All right, so indoors and windless, and then obviously again the temperature range of 10 to 35 degrees. If it goes beyond this range, then the measurement will not be accurate. So for accurate measurements, it's been optimized for this temperature range over here, working environment temperature. All right, so the device should be at least 2 meters away from light. So any kind of windows and things like this here should be 2 meters away at least. If you can get it further, please do so. And 3 meters away from a window, those kind of things. So light shining through like a door, a window, all those kind of things there. Try and keep it as far away as possible. Make sure the environment illumination is more than 100 lux. This part here is for the facial recognition to make out a face, to see if people are wearing masks, all those kind of things. You need a bit of light there. Yes, the unit has got built-in lighting, illumination and so forth, but see if you can get some light in there. It's better to have more than 100 lux over there. LAN cable connection, there is no Wi-Fi on this particular unit, and then obviously power supply. All right, so this is what's in the box. In the box, you'll obviously find your terminal, wall-mounted bracket. A nice thing with this is, like with most of our other products, you'll get like a sticker that you can put onto the wall with your exact drill holes and so forth, making it a lot easier to align all these screws. A couple of accessories, you'll find all your cables inside, a couple of wall screws, the Allen keys, or actually torque keys, and then your manuals. All right, so the floor standing pole in the box, it'll come like this here. The importance of this is you'll see that there's an extension cable. So like the one we had on the previous screen, it's just inside the box of the terminal. It's a short little one for your wall mounting applications. But if you have a pole mount, we obviously have to extend that. And it's got a cable management system. So your cable runs all the way through down to the bottom. Now, it looks like at this point it's coming out the bottom of the bracket. It can come out the bottom, or it can come out the back of the bracket. There are specific holes and stuff there for that. So you'll connect your terminal directly to these ones, mount them to the bracket there, and on the floor side, after you fix this unit to the floor with raw bolts or something like that, then you can get this either through into the ground, maybe into a conduit, or to the back, to maybe the closest wall. All right, so things that you need. Obviously, you need a suitable power supply, 12 volts DC at least about 2 amps for this unit. LAN cable, like we mentioned, gang box is optional depending on where you're going to mount it. And then some tools. I'm not going to teach you about the actual installation. I'm sure you all know how to use a screwdriver by now. All right, so let's have a look at the installation. Okay, a couple of things to keep in mind here is the ground. You can see the ground pin over here. That is a common ground. So common for your RS485, for the exit button, the door contact. It's common for everything. So you don't have to. You'll see that there's another ground, but these are all common. All right, so that's important to remember. If exit reader, touchless exit button, security unit, or lock is used, make sure to arrange a power adapter that has enough power for all of this. So you might want to have like maybe a 5 amp power supply or something like that, depending on what you want to drive with us, for an extra reader, for the terminal, for a maglock, or whatever the case might be. So make sure that the power supply is good enough for all of that. So the previous power supply that I mentioned, the 12 volts DC at 2 amps, that is only for the terminal, nothing extra. So just make sure you've got enough power for that. And obviously make sure that everything is switched off while you're doing the installation. Only power it up after the installation. All right, so this is, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I mentioned the wall mounting bracket that comes with the sticker that you can stick to the wall to get all your screws and those things aligned to get drilled and whatever. So yeah, you can see that there's a little hole there. If you've got a conduit in the wall, you can run your cables through that little hole in the bracket into the wall. Makes it nice and tidy. All right, the floor standing bracket, you can see that you can mount it through the bottom of the bracket itself, mount it to there. It's got a little cover that you tighten over this top end here to just make it nice and neat. But it's recommended for this thing to be mounted, otherwise somebody might easily bump this over and your terminal might get damaged. So but yeah, so it's got the possibility to mount this with raw bolts, and you can see there's a little bracket there at the back, or a hole there that you can actually get your cables out at the bottom. All right, now for the configuration part. Now, this configuration that we're looking at now, this is on the unit itself, on the terminal's actual screen. Now, to get into the terminal screen, you need to press and hold the screen for 3 seconds, and it's going to ask you for a password. All right, so from the local interface, you can activate your device. You don't have to use SADP tool or 4200, whatever. You can activate it right on the terminal itself. You can also use other software to activate it. But what you need to do, you need to start off with activation, like with any of our other devices, and you get in, like I said, press and hold the screen for 3 seconds, put in your password after it's been activated. Then you need to set an IP address. You need to give it an IP address, and that you'll find under the communication settings from the main menu on communication settings network. And then you can add or edit your IP address settings over here. And it does have a DHCP option as well. Also very important is make sure about the firmware. It's always best to have it at the latest firmware. We have released firmware now in April, May, somewhere around there. Make sure it's the latest. So that you'll find under system information and then device, you'll get all your details over here for the terminal. Okay, now a couple of configuration settings that's quite important to take note of. All right, if we go to temperature settings from the main menu, you'll get to the screen here. The first one is enable temperature detection. If this is on, if it is disabled, if it's off, the terminal will not do temperature detection. It will work as if it's a normal face recognition terminal without checking temperatures. So obviously for now, you want to have this part on to check people's temperatures. This is the temperature range that you can set for the minimum and maximum temperatures to get measured. 33 to 37.3 or whatever. This is the 36.3 that we mentioned earlier to 37.2 or whatever. You can set it over there. All right. So if it's over the maximum, whatever, you can get your abnormal temperature, and obviously below the minimum as well. You'll also get an alarm. This is quite important as well. Door not open when temperature is abnormal. So let's say even if your face is recognized, it will not open the door. If this is enabled, it will not open the door if your temperature measures abnormal, because we don't want those people inside the premises. So make sure that this is enabled. It depends on what you want to use it for, but for access control purposes, make sure that is on. Then this one here, temperature measurement only. If you enable this, then the device is going to work not as a face recognition terminal, but mainly or purely as a temperature detection device. All right, so no access control permissions is checked or whatever. So it's not for that. This is mainly for if you've got like a supermarket, a hospital, museum, places where strangers also come to, people that is not registered in your facial recognition database and those kind of things. If you purely want to check temperatures and maybe masks and so forth, then you want to have this this enabled over here. Okay, so then it'll not do any facial recognition, but it'll do temperature measurements. All right, so the mask settings that I was referring to as well, under your system settings, you'll find face pick over here. There's your face mask detection, face with mask. If you want to make sure that people are wearing face masks, then you want to have this on. If it's disabled, the terminal will not worry about any face masks and allow everyone with normal temperatures through. All right, so that is quite important to have that on. And then also you can force a unit must wear face masks. So let's say you are in the facial database. If you're not wearing a mask, then it's not going to enable, not going to allow you. So make sure that this is enabled. It depends on what your company policies state. But I think nowadays you have to wear a mask anyway. So you can enable this device. So even if your temperature is normal, you are in the database and so forth, if you're not wearing a mask, it will not allow you. It won't open the door. And then also you can enable this part here, a reminder of wearing face mask, where the terminal will actually say, please put on a face mask before it'll allow you through. Okay, so what can we do software-wise? So we can use the software to upgrade devices and to activate them and so forth. So let's quickly have a look at this. So to activate the device, we can do it on the terminal local screen, like I told you about earlier, 4200 and also HIC Central. We can use to activate. IP configuration, to give the device an IP address, you can do with all those softwares. Now the temperature setting, to set the temperatures, you need to do it on the device itself. And face mask setting, the one that we just mentioned on the previous slide, you do it on the device itself. Okay, and then upgrade the thermal camera, the firmwares and those kind of things you use. You can use your 4200 or your HIC Central to upgrade that. Okay, so that's quite important to remember. Okay, let's quickly have a look at the operation of the device. Now, because it's a facial recognition terminal, although it can do like with our other devices, multiple faces and so forth, it's important to have only one face in front of the device when you're doing your temperature measurements and for access control. All right, so let's quickly have a look at a real scenario. It's recommended because mostly people will come from the outside, that will drive to your business, get out their car, they're going to be warm inside the car, maybe hot outside in the sun before they enter the building. It's recommended that you allow for about 3 minutes cooling down time or temperature settling time, if you understand what I mean, for the skin surface's temperature to settle to the norm of what the closest to the body's core temperature, and then do the measurement. So then get the people to walk something like this and stand side to side next to the unit so it measures one face only at a time. If people are wearing hats and things like that, we need to ask them to take off their hats, because what it does, it checks the forehead temperature, because the forehead temperature is the closest to your body's core temperature. All right, so it is much more accurate to or much more close to your actual temperature. So the forehead needs to be exposed so that the unit can detect a face first of all, and it knows in the face of forehead that's about there, it can do a temperature measurement on that. Okay, and I already mentioned the queue side to side because we want to have one face only at a time in front of this unit. Okay, so if everything's okay, if the forehead is available, people are settled for around 3 minutes maximum and so forth, this device will take around 1 second to do an accurate temperature measurement on the forehead. So it is actually quite quick. It won't cause any bottlenecks. All right, let's quickly have a look at what the local screen would look like. So the screen on the terminal itself, if you have face-only authentication, right? So this is not temperature measurement or anything like that. So face-only is going to do access control on facial only. So if it's set to that, you need to disable the temperature measurement and mask detection. You need to disable that if you want to use it purely as a facial recognition unit. And then it'll obviously work as a normal unit. So if you get a face in front of the device, it recognizes the face, you'll have door access, it'll open up. Otherwise, if the face is not in the database, it will not open up the door. Okay, but mainly, we're not going to use it like that for now. We're going to use it for temperature measurements and things like that. So if you want to set up temperature measurement only, so not caring about a recognized face or anything like that, you want to measure temperatures, you need to enable temperature measurement only, like I showed you in one of the previous screens. So if the temperature is normal, it'll open up the door. If it's not normal, it will not open up the door, depending on the temperature range that you set up on the device. All right, so but then you need to keep in mind there's a tick box or there's a setting on the device itself. It says door not open when temperature is abnormal. All right, so make sure that is enabled. All right, now I think most people will probably use it like this. So facial recognition plus temperature authentication mode. Again, it's important to enable this function, door not open when temperature is abnormal. Even if the face is in the database, you don't want to open up the door. All right, so if the face is okay and temperature is okay, it'll measure. You can see the screen is also greenish. It'll give you door access. If the face is okay, which means that the face is in the database, but the temperature is not, it will recognize the person, but it'll state the temperature and will not allow access. But this is due to this function here. All right. If it doesn't recognize the face, but the temperature is okay, you'll see the screen will go orange like this, and it'll state stranger. So it depends. If you have facial recognition enabled, then obviously it will not open the door, because this is the functionality that we set up on the screen. And if the face is not in the database and the temperature is also not within the accepted range, it'll still say stranger and still not open the door. All right, so this is quite important. The priority of a stranger alert is higher than abnormal temperature. Right, so if you're setting it up as for facial recognition, it'll look for a recognized face first, comparison to the database. And it'll obviously deny access even before it does a temperature. It's going to do the temperature measurement only, but it's going to deny access mainly because it's a stranger, right? Because we set up facial recognition functionality here, right? So just understand the priority settings of the device itself. And this is hard-coded. You can't really change this. Okay, but there's multiple options. You can see here, temperature measurement and mask checking. So here, we don't really care about the face recognized. We care about temperatures and mask detection. So this is typically places we don't want to control access for authenticated staff or something like this. This is maybe a place where you've got strangers or you don't have a facial database. Then you want to set it up in this way, temperature and mask checking. All right, so if a mask is okay, a person is wearing a mask and the temperature is measured okay, it will be green and it'll authenticate, give you door access. Now, if there's maybe the person is wearing a mask, but the temperature is abnormal, again, it will deny you access and screen go red. If there's no mask, but the temperature is fine, you'll get an orange screen like this here, okay? So it'll say also, please wear a face mask. And if you've got that reminder on, you'll have a voice prompt also reminding you to put on your mask. And then if there's no mask and the temperature is also not normal, it'll be red. Okay, now again, there are priorities. So the priority is your mask alert is higher than the temperature abnormal. So it's going to check for a face mask first, all right? And then either give door access or not on that. And then obviously, secondly, the temperature measurement. So it's going to check for a mask first and then temperature. And depending on which mode you've got it set up, it'll either authenticate you or not. In this mode here, for temperature and mask, it's going to do both, but it'll check for the mask first. All right, so now this is probably the most comprehensive setting where we've got facial recognition, temperature measurement, as well as mask detection. All right, so it means that the people needs to be in the facial database, the temperatures must be okay, plus they need to wear a mask before you'll get authentication. All right, now again, there's a priority here. So the priority of alert on local screen is no mask. So it's going to do a mask detection. Then it's going to check if the face is in the database, and then it's going to check the temperature. So in that sequence, right? And again, it's hard-coded. You can't really change it. All right, so if a face mask, if a person's wearing a mask, if the face is in the database and the person is wearing a mask and the temperature is okay, green light. There you go. Okay, and access. Face is okay, mask is okay, but the temperature is abnormal. Sorry, no access. Face okay, mask no, temperature okay. Then you see over here, no access. So this is basically the only time you'll get access, where the face must match the database. You have to wear a mask and the temperature must be okay before it'll allow access. Now the different coloring over here, you can see between red and oranges and so forth. That's got to do with the temperatures. So everywhere where the temperature is abnormal, you'll get a red screen. If there's no mask, then you'll get an orange screen, something like that. All right. Okay, let's quickly have a look at a few log queries that you can do on the local device itself. The device has got a USB port. You can stick in a memory stick and then export data to that. So abnormal temperatures will be marked as red. So you can see here, if you do a query, it'll be marked as red. So it's quick and easy to see for any abnormal temperatures. So you can go into your log query. You can do custom time or yesterday, this week. So it's just a couple of presets, or you can put in a custom time from start to end. And then it's going to give you your log over here. And like I mentioned, the red ones will immediately show you if there was an alert. Okay. This is also very, very important. Okay. So only registered persons' authentication records can be searched. So it will not give you a record for an unknown, a stranger. You don't have an identity on that person anyway. All right. So it'll only give you log results for people in the facial database. All right, so strangers and temperature measurement only records can't be searched on the local screen. That means on the terminal itself. We can get this information from the 4200 or something like that there, which I'll get to a little bit later. But on the local interface itself, only for known people, only them. All right, so it's going to look like this. If you plug in your memory stick or whatever, you can export your images like this, or the Excel spreadsheet like that over there, right? So it'll be an Excel for your logs. You can see all the temperatures there and so forth. And then this, obviously, the images will be a separate export. Okay, so you can see there's all your exports on top. Use a profile photo, use a data, and all the information there. You can export, and obviously you can also import the detail. That's obviously facial export there, picture export. All right, so a couple of options directly on the device itself. But again, I think most people will probably use a remote kind of a connection to the device to get the information. But it's possible to get it locally on the device as well. All right, now on the 4200, obviously you need to add the device first. You need to register people. So there's a button to add persons. You're going to add people to the facial database and so forth, and you apply this. Apply person, meaning that it's going to push that information of all the people that you enrolled on the 4200. It's going to push it to the terminals and so forth. All right, then you can start doing your facial recognition. Now, then you can do a real-time checking. So you're going to go and open up your event center. So from the control panel, you're going to open up event center. It'll open up a screen similar to this one here. You can choose from the tick boxes here on top what you want displayed in these logs over here. All right. Now, the device will upload both the normal image and the thermal image. You can see both the normal image and the thermal image to 4200 after a face is authenticated. That means that the face needs to be in the database. All right, so this guy's face must be in the database for it to show the normal picture. Right. Otherwise, if it's only for strangers, if you pick up a stranger here, a person is not in the database, it'll only upload the thermal image. Right. So for a recognized person, you'll get a normal image plus the temperature, the thermal image. That'll be uploaded to 4200. Okay, so you can see all your logs over there, right? So that's a person's details, there's his temperature, and so forth. All right, so real-time event still in temperature measurement mode only. So if you're only doing temperature measurements, you're not checking faces according to a database, only the thermal image is displayed in 4200, like you can see over here. And again, if it's a stranger, it's the same. It'll only show you a thermal image of the person, right? So you can see their temperature measurement coming through, as well as the thermal image shown in the 4200. Okay, so that's important to note. It will not show you your optical image like on the previous slide. The optical image is are purely, if you're running a facial recognition database with faces already in your database, and only those known faces will be displayed in an optical image. The rest of it will only show you a thermal image. All right, now if you do searches, all right, so we want to search history of events. You'll see that button over there under Event Center, that button there. You need to make sure that you set your device to access control device type, like that over there. And then what you can do, you can fill in, you can obviously choose your devices and so forth. But if you want to add a few more filters, you need to click on the Show More button. Under Show More, you'll get a few more options here, right? So status, event types, card reader type, person name. If you want to search for a specific person's name or card number, something like that or whatever, you want to click on the Show More button over here. And then you hit the search button. It's going to come up with your results, your search results over here for obviously what you've entered in here. If you select a specific item like that there, it'll show you your temperatures and captures and so forth. All right, so this is the database recognition photograph that you added to the system when you enrolled this person. This is the live optical capture plus the temperature thermal image capture. All right, so that's what you'll get in the 4200. Okay, and then obviously you can export like we exported on the device itself to a memory stick. You can also export using the 4200. You can see over there. Export it. Just make sure you remember where the path, the saving path of that. Otherwise, you're not going to find it again. Anyway, so you'll get a CSV file export like that there. It's going to give you your Excel, and then obviously you can export your images as well, and it's going to look like this over here. All right, so all evidence, all information can be exported from the 4200. And I think probably this is the most used software that people who use to export and manage the devices. All right, a couple of notes, a couple of things just for you to take note of. There's eight quite important notes that I wanted to talk to you about. There will be no temperature overlay on the captured image. Right, so I don't know if you saw on the previous slides and so forth, you can see there's no temperature overlay on any one of these images. All right, so it's important to note. You will not find it there. It'll be obviously in the log. Normal camera capture image resolution. So for the normal optical camera will be a low resolution of a 768 by 432. The thermal will be 120 by 160 as previously stated. The thermal camera does not support live view. It's not meant for that, okay? So it'll only do the captures when it does the temperature measurements. 4200 cannot configure temperature and mask settings. Remember, and that's that one slide where we compared what you can do from which software and so forth. So the 4200 cannot configure the temperature and the mask. This you do on the device itself, either web interface to it or on the local interface of the terminal, but not from 42. Face mask event. So basically in the logs of the 42, it will not show you face mask events in the 4200, okay? Abnormal temperatures cannot trigger an email alarm in the 4200. It's not configured for that. It's not set up like that. So you cannot trigger an email alert from the 4200 when there's an abnormal temperature. Abnormal temperature pop-up notification is only supported by the AC, the 4200 AC version. So if you want to have a pop-up screen in the 4200, you need to make sure that you install the 4200 AC. AC stands for access control. So there's a specific 4200 version that you need to download and install. It's still free, still available on our website. All right, so the software versions that was used in this PowerPoint, in this presentation, was this one here. Now, this is a customized version for the 4200 for temperature measurement. So make sure that you get this. If you cannot find this on our website, then please contact us so we can send it through to you. All right. Okay, now a couple of Q&As to quickly run through. All right, so if you're using the indoor monitor like this, all right, and you've got some issues, this is typical some issues that a client had previously. The face terminal cannot dial through to the indoor station. All right, so this is the indoor station. You can see it's not a normal intercom module, although it looks very similar. Make sure it's the right model, DS-KC001. All right, so the devices that we used, obviously the face terminal and the DS-KC001. And if the terminal cannot dial through, remember the terminal's got multiple functions. The one function is for recognized staff to, authentication to open up a door. But let's say if a visitor accesses or gets to a door that is closed, obviously visitor will not be in the facial database. The terminal has got an intercom function built in to be able to dial through to monitors like this and so forth. So if that function does not work, the terminal cannot dial, doesn't want to work, then what you need to do is you need to go, firstly, go check the IP address settings. Make sure the IP addresses, obviously the terminal and the monitor are both in the same ranges and so forth. And then we've got a step-by-step how-to guide to quickly configure this. So if you need that, please let us know. You'll also find it over here. So how to use a DS-KC001 on our website. On our website, you're going to go to Products, Video Intercom Products, IP Series, Pro Series, and then you'll find this device over there. And then it will be a how-to guide to guide you through the configuration settings, what to check. But the first things first, check the IP address. And then the second thing is make sure that the passwords are the same. The password of this device and the terminal must be the same. All right. Okay, so next up, we're going to look at the walkthrough metal detector. Okay, model number there, ISD-SMG318LT-F. This is the full model number of the walkthrough metal detector, and I'm going to show you now what it all includes. All right, so walkthrough metal detectors, I think you all know where we can use this, obviously entrances and things like that, but the similar rules apply for this as with a terminal, being indoors, windless, those kind of things, right? This will talk back to 4200 NIC Central and also has a web server and so forth, but that's for the camera itself, not for the metal detector. The metal detector you configure on the local screen over there. The camera you can configure either through its web browser, the 4200 or NIC Central. Okay, a couple of specs quickly. The resolution for the turret camera, the turret thermal camera, is 120 by 160. It's also bispectrum, so it's got optical in as well. But this is a thermal temperature, thermal resolution. 25 frames a second. Temperature range is the same as the terminal, 30 to 45 degrees. Accuracy is the same. With a black body calibrator, you'll get this down to 0.3 degrees, plus minus 0.3 degrees. Measuring distance, a person away from the camera itself, right, between 0.5 to 1.5 meters away from the camera. So voltage, you just plug this into the wall, right? I'm going to show you just now how. Again, the working temperature environment, basically the same as the terminal, but for temperature measurement. Again, in red there, temperature measurement between 10 and 35 degrees. For any and all of our temperature measurement devices, you want to be in an environment between 10 and 35 degrees. If out, your measurement's not going to be accurate. Okay, humidity, application, again, indoor there, indoor windless. So this is exactly the same as the terminal. Heat up time, 90 minutes. That's for the temperature camera, the thermal camera there. 90 minutes heat up time for the internals to get to a normal operating temperature. And then obviously the temperature range you can also adjust according to what your environment is. Okay, preparation, what do you need? I don't know if you recognize this image. I think we saw the slide before. The same thing goes. All right. So make sure windows, doors, wind, all those kind of things are exactly the same. Stay away from those kind of things, right? It'll affect the accuracy of the device itself. Make sure it's away 2 meters, 3 meters away from windows and doors where wind can come in, sun can shine into, and so forth. All right. Illumination, 100 lux. That's for the optical camera. Remember, this thermal camera is a bispectrum, like I mentioned. If you bundle this thermal camera with the Deep in Mind in VR, because you've got the optical from the also built into the thermal camera, you can also use it for facial recognition. All right, so just hint, hint. Anyway, so 100 lux there, just for good optical image captures and so forth, to see face details and whatever. You can need a LAN cable. The LAN cable plugs into the thermal camera, which I'll show you just now. And then obviously the power source. I'll show you how to use that and where to plug it in. Okay, so this is basically in the box. You'll find inside the box, you'll find a left panel, you'll find a right panel. There's your turret camera. The bracket for the turret camera is in there. You also have the display. This display, I'll show you just now what it will display, from the camera and obviously metal detection. And then you've got this left and right connector panel. This one over here. This one over here connects this panel. You can see the 3 holes there, 3 holes there, and those 3 and those 3 there. So you can see there's 2 of them. There's one bracket there. There's another one behind the monitor there. That connects and holds these 2 walls or the side panels of the metal detector door attached to each other. All right, then you've got a power link cable, right? So it looks like this over here, and then you also have a mains power cable. So you leave this for last, okay? Until everything is assembled and whatever, don't plug this in yet. Okay, this cable here is to link this unit to that unit. All right. So to make sure that when this has got power, that has got power as well. So that's your link cable that goes between the two side panels. And then obviously a power adapter. This is for well, the display and the camera. Okay, for those two things. All right, installation. Let's quickly have a look. First of all, okay, remove the trim. Yes, of course. Okay, this ring over here, so that you can mount the camera to the bracket. This bracket is supplied. Okay, so the camera goes to the bottom of this bracket, and then on the top you'll see there's a casing over there for your power supply to slide into, and then it needs power. Right, here you can see where they've got the two sides up right there, and they're going to use these two brackets to mount between there, and the next one between there and there. All right, and obviously the sides here, you can see the slits on the outside, that is the panel. So these panels here that you can see over there, and this is just on the outside of this wall on the right hand side, and obviously on the left hand side over there. All right, this is what the camera should look like after it's been mounted to the bracket. Now this is upright. Sorry, this is upside down. That's upright. So it looks it's been mounted from the bottom, and then this bracket must obviously be fixed. You can see the two brackets holding the metal detector doors together. It'll be mounted to that. All right, the next thing is your screen. This is the screen, the display of the metal detector door that must be plugged into the door over there. Okay, you can see there's a bunch of cables coming out of the back of the screen. And then you need to cut the cable. So this power supply that comes with, you need to cut that connector off. So you've got your 12 volts, the plus and minus exposed that you can wire into the screen over there. You can see it comes with a little connector block. So cut it off. It will not void any warranties and stuff. Make sure you just cut it off without this being powered on. All right, very important. Okay, so you can see here that the camera's got an RS-485 output. I'm going to show you a little bit later how to configure this. This RS-485 connects to the screen's RS-485. Okay, so the camera, you can see the pigtails coming out of the camera. It's got its RS-485 over there. That'll connect to the screen. So you can see, there we go, into the screen. Okay, so that the screen can display temperatures and things like that, right? And then the power as well. So the power, there'll be power coming out there, connected to the camera. All right, now this is at the bottom on the outside of one of the walls. Okay, so the two side walls of the metal detector door, you've got a plug, a kettle cord plug on either side. So it depends on what's the closest point to your power, your wall socket. You'll plug this into there, and then you've got the link cable that links between the two walls. You can see the link cable goes in there, and then obviously on the other side of the other wall as well. Okay, so plug this into either side of the metal detector door, and then make sure you've got a link cable in between, otherwise the other side will not have power. Okay, after you've switched it on, it's going to look something like this here. There's your LCD screen. It'll get the temperature measurements from this over here. The metal detection triggers and stuff will also be displayed and so forth. So you can see there it lights up like a Christmas tree. If it detects metal, if the temperature is abnormal, it goes red, and obviously makes some noise as well. Okay, let me quickly show you how to configure the device. Now this is for the metal detector door. Sorry, this is for the thermal camera connected to the metal detector door. Firstly, you need to activate the device like with any other of our devices. Then you're going to go into the web interface of the camera. Remember, the metal detector door doesn't have a web interface. You configure that on the local screen, which I will show you a little bit later. But anyway, for the temperature measurement, okay, it is quite important to set the emissivity and the distance. Right? The emissivity 0.98. Make sure it's set to that 0.98 as the closest to human skin. So set the emissivity to 0.98. That is very, very, very important. And then the distance away, the distance of a person. When the person approaches the door, where is the temperature going to be taken? If the person is 1 meter away, you set this to 1 meter. So remember, this will do temperature measurement from 0.5 to 1.5 meters away from the camera. Further than that will not be accurate. So make sure you're in that range and you tell the camera, listen, this is how far it is. So it takes it into consideration when it does actual temperature measurement. All right, now very important to set up the temperature ranges and where to detect it and so forth. It is very important to go to body thermometry configuration. You'll find that over here on the left-hand side. So if you, after you go to configuration, in your menu on the left-hand side, body thermography, sorry about that, basic settings, you'll find body thermography configuration over there, right? So this is where you go first. Then you'll have your optical camera visible here. All right, that's camera number 1. Make sure all these things are enabled. Enable face detection, display temperature, upload the capture, and display face temperature position. All right, so you've got a red block. The red block shows you what the thermal camera would see. So the thermal camera lens angle is narrower than the optical camera. So it's narrower than the optical camera. So the optical camera shows you what the thermal camera will see by showing you this red block. You can't change the red block. What you need to do is you need to go draw an area, this yellow block, within this red block of where you're going to do your temperature measurements, where your faces, your people are going to walk through, right? And then you need to set maximum and minimum pupil distances, right? You can see there, they don't have to be anywhere specific. They can be anywhere inside this view. It is just a reference for the camera, the amount of pixels that we need to look at. The smallest face like that over there and the largest a face could be. So what you do is you get a person to walk 1.5 meters away from the camera. You make a small pixel distance, right? A minimum pupil distance, and you get that person to walk closer where his face is still in this box and where his face is the largest. Then you click on maximum pupil distance and you draw a maximum box. Now again, it is easier if a person just stands still and you quickly draw a box over there. All right, so that's how you set that up. You click the save button. All right, but what we need to do is also we need to tell the camera when to make alarm. So the temperature range you can set over here. You can set up a pre-alarm and you can also set up an alarm, right? So 37.5 degrees is a good temperature to make alarm on. So that is obviously recommended, 37.2 to 37.5. It's up to you to decide what you want to have over there, right? But anyway, so that's where your temperature settings are of when it needs to make an alarm. All right, so after you're done, click on the save button. Now, remember I mentioned the RS485 on the camera. The RS485 is connected to the LCD screen of the metal detector door so that it can actually display those temperatures. Now, the RS485, when you connected it, the parity must be set to none. Okay, so you'll see this under configuration and so forth, your basic information, time, and so forth. There's your RS485. It's a tab over there. Make sure your parity is set to none. Right, very important. Don't change any of the other settings and so forth, the baud rates and whatever that's already set, but make sure that your parity is set to none. All right, so otherwise it will not display any temperatures. Hit the save button and you're good to go. Okay, now on the LCD display of the metal detector door, you need to obviously log in. Okay, so log into the screen like this over here. Select one application. All right. Now, the application you can see over there, there's your application button. All right. What's very important is that you need to go and set this. This will not work as, with the default settings. It won't work correctly, right? And I'll show you exactly why. Okay, we need to set the security levels. It depends on what you want to pick up. Do you want to pick up a key, a pen in a guy's pocket, or it'll be larger things like guns and whatever? So you need to go set the sensitivity. All right. So there's two settings, right? There's a security level, okay, of 80, and there's a sensitivity level of 200. I'm going to show you just now how to set these things. All right. Okay, so it says here, manually adjust security level and sensitivity. The sensitivity can be 0 to 255 and the other level 0 to 100. So this metal detector door has got 12 adjustable zones, right? So 12 zones that can be adjusted according to measurement, metal detector purposes. You need to click on the top section or the bottom section of the metal detector door to go set the different options, right? So you click on the top section, and we recommend the very top one, you make 0. Okay. The reason for that is the camera is mounted right on top, and the camera's also got some metal, incorporated in the housing and so forth. So make sure you set the very top zone to 0. It shouldn't detect anything, otherwise this thing's going to scream 24/7. All right, so make your sensitivity to 0 on that level to make sure you do not detect the camera. Anything below that, you can go and set and play with to whatever settings you want to. But remember again, it's got a security level and it's got a sensitivity. You need to set both of them. All right, now the operation, you can see on the local screen, it's got basically 4 indicators. All right, so the first one here will show all right, sorry about that. Hopefully you can all hear me. Can everyone hear me again? Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Robert. All right, sorry about that issue there, a couple of technical difficulties. Anyway, all right, let me quickly just recap this screen because I can't remember what I mentioned last. All right, so firstly, on the LCD screen, we've got four readouts basically on the screen here. The first one will show you the amount of people that went through the metal detector door. The second one here will show you the amount of metal detection alarms that it picked up. This one will show you the current and last temperature that it measured. And this one will show you all the abnormal temperatures that was measured throughout that period. Okay, so this is locally on the screen. And again, remember, like I said, this cannot be exported anywhere. It doesn't have a LAN connection or anything like that. You'll export through the information from the thermal camera. That's why the thermal camera's LAN cable is connected to your network, so that you can get that information back to the 4200. Okay, now the Q&A. We were nearly done. We were nearly done. All right, let's quickly have a look at Q&A on this metal detector door. All right, so if the door beeps the whole time when normal temperatures are detected without any metal, if it happens, you can see there's nobody here. It's screaming the whole time. What can be what could be the solution? Okay, so log into the camera to check that the alarm temperature is set to the correct temperature. So 37.3, 37.5 degrees, that is what you need it to be set at. Make sure your alarm is set to this and not anything lower than that. Otherwise, it's going to scream the whole time. And then what you need to do is check the security level and sensitivity on the screen, especially for this top zone. You can see we've got the green lights over there. The green light is picking us right in that line of the camera. So it's going to pick up that metal from the camera itself. So make sure you set this to 0. This top zone, make sure you set it to 0 and you set the rest to whatever level you want it to be. All right. So like I mentioned earlier, if you want to pick up something like keys in a guy's pocket, you're going to set your security level to 80 and your sensitivity to about 200. Okay, so play around with those settings until you find whatever you need to, but those are the settings for like metal keys in a guy's pocket. And then obviously you bring those things down. If you don't care about the keys and pens, you want to detect something large or whatever, you're going to set those things different. Okay. Then I want to mention that we have another meeting on Friday. So this coming Friday, the 10th at 10 a.m., we're going to talk about the Higgs Central NIF 4200 setup, especially for the thermal or the temperature screening devices. So we're going to look at Higgs Central and 4200. This is the meeting ID. This is the login details. So I'm going to keep this on screen. Please grab a pen and paper to quickly jot this down. Just so that you can join us on Friday. Again, Friday is not the same as today. Friday will mainly be about a Higgs Central and 4200 configuration. So we can dig into those things a little bit more. All right, so meeting ID 95001998967. I'm going to read it again. Zoom meeting ID 95001998967. All right, so please join us on Friday at 10 o'clock. So Friday the 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning, we're going to be doing Higgs Central and 4200. Okay, last thing that I want to mention, and you got to be quick on this, all right, because it's first come, first serve. We have serious, and I'm talking about serious sales on this, massive discounts, like you can see over here on these devices, right? You need to contact your ND, your national distributor, to get these prices, all right? So on July 7th, that's tomorrow, 10 a.m., we're going to talk about, or we will have the TP31, that's the economical one, handheld thermal temperature screening device. Limited quantity, first come, first serve. It's a flash sale that we've got on these devices. Make sure you're first in there to get the best deals on this. We only have 100 pieces. Okay, July the 9th, 10 a.m. The normal MinMoe temperature screening MinMoe. Again, you will be amazed about the pricing. So I'm not going to give away pricing right now. Contact your ND for these prices. 10 o'clock on the 9th of July. And there's your Zoom ID for that one over there. And then the other one, there's your Zoom ID, July the 7th, that's tomorrow. There's your Zoom ID. Jot these things down, get them down, write them down right now so you can join these things so you can get the best, right? Limited stock for these two devices, or these two ranges of devices, and extremely high special or discounts basically on them. So make sure, all right? Let me just see if there's any chats, if there's anybody waiting for a pen meeting number ID, please. Okay, so let me read them out. The one for tomorrow for the TP31, the Eco handout, the Zoom ID is 94346274137. I'm going to read it again. This is the one for the handheld economical temperature measurement screening device. The Zoom ID tomorrow at 10 o'clock, 94346274137. Make sure you join. All right. So that's tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. The next one is on the 9th. The 9th, that's Thursday, right? So the Thursday at 10 o'clock as well. The Zoom ID for this one is 94651164328. I'm going to read it again. 94651164328. You got to join these Zoom meetings, these Zoom webinars to get the benefit of these pricing. Let me just see if there's any more questions regarding that. Okay, so they've also shared this on the chat. So just open up your chat box. You can copy it from there. All right, so just have a look at the chat box quickly. You'll find the meeting ID for the TP31 is put in there, as well as the one for on Thursday for the MinMoe. The meeting IDs are in there. Please quickly copy and paste them, because as soon as I close this webinar, that's gone. Make sure you quickly grab that while it's on the chat box. You can copy and paste, it's easier. All right, that is it from my side. It's a pity my internet connection couldn't just hold 5 more minutes, but it did disconnect for some reason. I had to quickly restart a few things, but luckily we got back online. Hopefully you guys learned something today. Hopefully it was helpful. I'm sure this will sort out a few things on your site and so forth. But again, in conjunction with Friday's webinar, you'll be able to sort this out almost with your eyes closed. So please join us again on Friday for the software side of the setup. Today we mainly did the hardware side. So you'll see Friday we'll do the software, and then everything might make a lot more sense, especially if you've come across some problems that you had on site, couldn't figure it out, couldn't get it right. Between today and Friday, you'll be able to sort it out easily. Okay, if there are any other questions, let's quickly have a look. If there are any questions, all right, so Charlene will send us webinar details, the recording of today's session. She'll send to everyone. Just again, I want to say sorry about the interruption I had on my internet connection, but luckily we could carry on. So Charlene will send it through to you sometime today. Yeah, and then please again join us on Friday so that we have a complete set between today and Friday's webinars. You'll have the hardware and the software side. Okay, so let's quickly have a look and see if there's any questions. There's no questions in the Q&A box, not a problem. If you have any questions, let us know, email us, you've got all our details, and hope to see you on Friday. I'm going to keep this webinar open for another literally 2 minutes, just so you can quickly jot down the Zoom IDs for tomorrow and Thursday's sales, and then hopefully we'll join you guys on Friday again. So thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you soon.